Alright, so in this video we're going to be reviewing the Forces of Valor 132 scale German STURMTIGER. And this is a die-cast model. There's a lot of information and details in this model. It is a pre-built model for the most part. You just got to put a couple things together. But this box, they did really well with the packaging. I mean, there's little stories written about it. Here's the details. A lot of information put together. Alright, so here's the look at it outside of the outer packaging. A lot of details went into this model, I can tell right off the bat. Love the way that the die cast looks with the weathering, and also the box itself. I mean, tons of detail with this box. So let's get to the unboxing. Alright, so simple flap lifts up here. And the tank comes right out. It's actually, fun fact, it's not actually a tank. It's considered an assault vehicle. So, something I learned. So here's what it looks like. You can see the packaging here, even in the picture in the background. Really nice job. All right, so we also have, let's take a little packet here. It's an instruction manual. Very detailed. Man, there's a lot of information in here. Super impressed so far with this model. And by the way, you can still buy this model. For those that are interested, I'll probably post a link below in the video description. So there's just different languages. But super detailed instruction booklet. You also get this little card. You open it up. I mean, man, I'm telling you, the packaging is amazing. Look at that. They even labeled that with STURMTIGER in the back of this little card. And it's an actual credit card feel. I mean, it feels like a credit card. And look at the back, it's just information about the tank. Well, assault vehicle. And it also has production lot number. So, super happy about that. All right, it also has this little box here. Just gonna open it here. Looks like 2 figures that come with it. I think that's Hitler, actually. And then you have the actual mortar rounds, the shells, and then a hatch door and some other little accessories here. And that's it for the accessories. All right, so here are the accessories that came with the box. And of course the tank. So we will need a screwdriver, so give me a second, I'll get those undone and get back. And then it does come with a stand. So then I also purchased, they have a display frame, which is separate, and it snaps around the sides here, so you can have a little display. I don't know why they didn't include it, because to be honest with you, it kind of looks weird just like this. I guess they're expecting you to take it off the stand or just kind of leave it like that, but we'll get to this in a little bit. All right, so once you remove the tank or the assault vehicle from the base, you still have 2 more screws under here that you need to take out. I'm gonna get to those real quick. All right, we've successfully taken it off of the stand. And this is what it looks like underneath. Okay, so it actually looks like there's quite a bit involved in this, putting it together. There's some glue actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up this little package here. And it comes this little baggie. And there's a reason that I need to open this up right now, because there's these little caps it's showing. You see right here? These actually go on the bottom to cover up these holes. So I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so there's actually different sizes for these little covers. And there's 4 of these smaller ones. You can see they just push into that hole. They're kind of made out of like a hard rubber. So they push in, but they can be removed. So, and that's what it looks like when you have all the screw holes plugged in. Okay, so it's actually telling me to glue these on, if you can see that right now, to right here on the tank. I'm gonna call it a tank, by the way. I know it's an assault vehicle, but I'm probably gonna call it a tank. And you just glue it. There's not really a way to attach it. There's nothing on the bottom, so I'm gonna have to probably do that later. I'll probably get back to that. Now I'm gonna open up this package. All right, 2 figures here. I think that's Hitler. And then I believe this is what looks like an officer. I mean, look at the detail. The paint is so good. Super impressed. So we need this piece right here. And it looks like this is going to be installed on the back section right there. And this is actually the crane that they would use to install or load up the mortar rounds because they were so heavy that they needed a crane. Okay, so I actually think I need a screwdriver, a flathead here, because it says to take this piece and push it down like this and then push it forward. See if I can show you. It says to take this piece and like push it down and then forward, and these little tabs lock into place up top. There we go. Okay, so there we go. There's what it looks like. Man, that looks pretty good. Definitely impressed so far. Okay, so now for, they call them the fenders. I'm gonna go ahead and get this hatch as well. This is the loading hatch right here that's used to open up on the top whenever you're loading in the rounds, because they were so big you'd have to have space for it. Okay, so we'll start with the back. This goes on like that. They do rotate up and down. Also came with some tow hooks, and you can see here. Okay, so these tow hooks go in 2 spots in the back, right here and right there. So I'd put the flaps up in this part. There we go, that one's in. There we go, that one's in too. There and right there. Okay, so it actually came with 4 tow hooks, not just 2. There's 2 more spots in the front right here. And another fun fact, the STURMTIGER actually was built off of a Tiger 1 chassis. They had a lot of those laying around, and so when they were building this, it was kind of an experimental weapon. So it's actually built as an offensive weapon. It could actually penetrate through about 8 foot of reinforced concrete. I mean, look at the size of that barrel. Okay, so like I said, these side skirts are actually labeled. This one says R4, and then it says R321, and they just go on here on the side. They kind of clip in. You kind of just push them down a little bit. These are like slots. So you just kind of slide it down on top of these little bars here. All right, so I had a little bit of an issue getting that on just because of this little cutout, but there we go. Again, details. Probably be saying that this whole kit. All the side skirts are on. Alright, so there's also a light that they give you, and it does have a little tab sticking out. You can push it in. They say to glue it, but I'm not going to. I mean, it fits on there pretty well. Okay, so it also came with an Mg34 machine gun, and that was mounted right here on the side next to the barrel. Okay, and it says you're supposed to glue it right here, and you can see where it goes right there. And I don't think I'm gonna have an option not to glue it because it won't really stay in there. You can see right there. Okay, so now I'm gonna install the access door that goes right on top of the tank, and that's actually to allow the rounds to come in and out. It wouldn't fit otherwise. They had to have this little door. So the way it goes is you just set it on top like that, and then you just close the lid. Okay, so this hatch just sits right on top. So this is the part that actually holds on the rounds. So it goes around the mortar shells, and this would be where they would put them inside the tank. I'll get to that in a little bit. But you would actually put these around them, and that's how they would lift it with the crane, up and down using these. So these just kind of pop out, and they look like brass. I don't know if they're real brass or not. And then you basically make the loop. So I'm gonna take a mortar round, just like this, and I'm gonna make a loop around it. And then you can tell, I don't know if you can see this, but it goes inside like that. And that hole right there, you can actually use fishing wire, which I have some, it tells you about it right here, to put real fishing wire through the crane, which I'm gonna do, and then you can wrap the fishing wire around this mortar shell and it'll be holding it up like it's lifting it in. Super cool. Okay, and this was no light armor. I mean, this hull was about 150 millimeters thick. It was a lot thicker than the Tiger tank. I think the Tiger tank only had 100 millimeter thickness. Yeah, you can actually see it says 150 on the front right there. And then another interesting fact, the holes that are around the barrel, those are actually to allow the gases to release, because when you would fire this, the actual mortar shell, with all of the backfire of the gases, anybody inside of here would have died. So they had to actually reroute the gases out and turn them 180 degrees, which is what the holes were for up top. Okay, so I wish they would have told you this from the beginning, but this is an inside out version, and so you can actually take the top off and show the inside, which was really cool. But they have you assemble it first and then tell you afterwards how to take it off. And I kind of wish they would have done it the opposite, so you could have set it up before you put everything together, but I have to remove these again. And so there's 4 screws right here, it says, that I need to remove to be able to take the top off. Okay, so one thing to note before we take the top off, this right here is a tool that it comes with. It's kind of like a little mini flathead, and you just sit in here, it's a pry tool to pry open the back that we had to get on earlier if you wanted to take that back off. You just lift up very carefully on all 4 sides and kind of wiggle it, and then the top comes off. As you can tell, the top is metal. You can see from the bottom, it has some more screws here, but this is all metal. And so here is the inside. Now this is mostly plastic. So, I mean, I understand, because if you had metal the whole way around, it would be pretty heavy too, but also it would be a lot more costly. So this is what it looks like. Tons of detail. I'll have to get you better close-up shots here in a little bit. And this back section comes off. Looks like these are some fans, maybe for the engine, maybe the radiator, maybe gas tanks. Those come off. And this is a Maybach HL230, I believe. And the same engine they had in the Tiger 1 tank. And they actually had a lot of issues with these engines. And so during the war, these came out about the end of the war, about 1944, early 1944, mid 1944, right before the war ended. So only 18 of these ever saw combat. Actually, I don't even know if they all saw combat, but only 18 were made. And so when they got these out on the field, because of the complexity and issues with these engines and the weight of these ammunition shells, mortar shells, they would actually run out of ammo and they couldn't be, resupplied, or they'd have issues with the engine and they'd just leave these out in the battlefield. So in practicality, they were great. The idea was awesome. I mean, these things were a powerhouse, but they weren't that reliable because they only made 18, so they hadn't really gotten into service yet. And then also the ammunition, I mean, these things are huge, so to resupply them would have been crazy. And another thing is, so at max, these could hold 14 rounds. So you'd have 2 on each side here, like that. I'll kind of show you how it looks. So 2 on the bottom, and then 2 up top. Like that. And they could carry 14 in real life, but that's only with 1 inside the breech and 1 on the loading tray. And there's how 1 would look on the loading tray right there. All right, so I don't know if this is the transmission or the drive shaft, but there's also a lot of detail on that. And then here's the steering wheel, and this is where the driver would go. And then over here is where the gunner would go. He would be the one shooting the Mg34 gun, and also he would be in charge of the radio. Okay, so another thing is, these back hatches lift up on both sides. The center hatch lifts up. And this is like a hose. So they did real detail on the hose. That's like a rubber hose. Look at how it bends. It flexes whenever you lift it up. And then again, this hatch opens here. Okay, so it also came with a door for the breech. So you would just slide it in like that. And then this piece, you would just put right back on top like that to lock it in place. Okay, and you can actually install a mortar in the breech like that. And the barrel of the turret does move. Doesn't have a ton of movement, but it moves up and down pretty good. It moves pretty high. Okay, another thing. You could take the engine out and look at the detail if you wanted to display it. Look at that paint. It's like the fuel tank right there. Look at that chain too. Crazy. And then it just sits right on top of there. Has a little slot that just pushes on. Alright, so here it is fully assembled. And it actually came with a crane here, which you could actually use to lower and raise the shell into the tank. And basically you already have one sitting there right now on the tray, loading tray, but you can move the crane over and have it look like it's dropping it inside of the tank to load up. And it's really cool because you can actually raise and lower the winch. I left a little extra fishing line, so it even tells you what kind of fishing line to use, but you wind it up through there, and that's some glue on my hand. But you wind it up through there, and this is actually a little brass, what I showed you earlier, and it holds really well. So what I did is I actually put some guys in there. I fit them in there, and you'll probably see the pictures I post because it's really too hard to get a good video. But you can see a guy right there. I fit him in there, and then right here, if you take off this hatch, there's his head. Looks like he's kind of loading the shell. And so it fits perfect. He's another 132 scale figure I actually already had. He's a German figure too. So it worked out. Okay, so here's the display base frame. And it comes with one frame, which and also 3 metal nameplates. And those are different battles, I guess, you can put on. And then on the back, it kind of shows you what it will look like. So this is the base that came with it, and here's the frame that'll go around it. And so this one says it's a certain color. It says mahogany, so I don't know if like they're gonna have different versions or not, but or different colors. But let me open it real quick and get back. All right, so this is what it looks like inside. You have 3 nameplates that you can choose, and they are metal. I'll get to those in a little bit. And then here's the instructions, and we'll put it together. So here are the nameplates. It just has a Battle of El Alamein, I guess, 1942, Battle of Stalingrad, 1943, and then Battle of Normandy, 1944. I'm probably just gonna go with that one. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn over the base right now, and you see right here, you just have these little slots, and then this just fits into that slot, like this, and you push down. Okay, so this is what it looks like fully set up. It is just plastic, it's not real wood. All right, so that actually fit pretty flush. You can't even tell that it was stuck on. Okay, so now's the time if you actually want to stick the tank back onto this base, you're gonna want to screw it back in. And then whenever you're ready, you just kind of, these little tabs line up right here with that spot, and you literally just push it down like that. So this is what it looks like fully assembled on the actual base with the base frame. And I am super impressed, to be honest with you. The base frame itself, I'm not that impressed with. It doesn't actually click down all the way. You can actually lift it back up. It's supposed to click down and lock in place right here on this side and also on this side, but it doesn't. So with that being said, everything else though, I am super impressed with. I mean, the quality of the actual model itself, the actual quality of the metal too. It's not like anything else I've actually ever seen in a model. I mean, that looks, look at those dents. Looks like war hardened. And also I do have an actual round in the chamber right there. And it looks really cool. So yeah, super impressed, super happy. I like it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot, and if you haven't checked out my other videos, I have a lot of other 1/18 scale model reviews, 132s coming and stuff like that, so go ahead and check it out and let me know what you guys think.